Alright, so you guys pretty much already know Netmarble confirmed that we're going to be getting these Halloween units, but while I'm not going to say that they're the worst units in the game, I am going to say that they are pretty, like, mediocre, subpar, whatever you want to, say. They're not the best units because they were released over a year ago when JP first released for their Halloween, units. And we're getting them on global. Now I'm gonna go ahead throughout this video. I'm gonna make an assumption that they are not gonna be buffed, that they're gonna be the same exact units that they are on JP when they come over to global. Although I really hope that's not the case. I think it might be. I mean, there's a good chance it could be buffed, but there's also a good chance that they won't be. So yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and get into the units, and we're just gonna assume that they're not gonna be buffed. They're the same units as they are on JP. So we'll start off with this Captain Meliodas. Captain Meliodas, right? He's a red unit. So off the bat, he's pretty good that he's a red unit, right? Because right now in the meta, reds are taking over because of Lost Vein, mono red teams, etc, etc. So the fact that he's red gives him a little bit of advantage in type, right? When it comes to type colors, right? So it gives him a little bit more of an advantage. His stats are really low. And this is not, this is the problem. His stats are really low. He came out when the game first released. Again, this is definitely not any, he's just an old unit. It's not his fault he's bad. He's just a really old unit. So again, his stats are really low. At the time he came out, he was good. He could possibly see play on JP again, just because of how much the meta shifts and the rules for PvP. But as far as overall usage of the character, you're not gonna see him a lot, just because again he's really weak in terms of stats, right? So you got his attack is below 5,000, 4,882. That is very low for a unit whose main role is to attack, right? That's really low. His defense is really low too, 2,852. His HP is actually really high. I will give him that. His HP is high. For the character that came out a year ago, that HP is insane. 56k. To give you guys a perspective, he's only 4,000 HP points below Red Escanor, and you guys know how good Red Escanor is, right? So his HP is actually really high. It's in the high tiers of HP. The problem with this is his substats are bad. His HP is 56k, or not his HP. His pierce rate is 26%. His resistance is 33. Regeneration 12%. Although his regeneration being at 12% is good. His crit chance is at 34%. His crit damage is at 180%. Resistance 22%. Crit defense 25%. Recovery rate 143. Lifesteal 12. So all in all, his substats aren't the best, but his crit chance and crit damage go hand in hand, and I'm going to get into his kit so that way you guys can understand why they made his crit chance so low but his crit damage so high. Because he does have a factor which plays into his crit chance, be it his passive, right? So then his associations, right? You have Elizabeth, who gives him attack. You have Diane, who gives him attack. You have Arthur, who gives him attack. Bellion, all these different characters that just give him attack. Ooh, excuse me. Right? They give him attack buffs. Now, I would say his best associations are attacks because of the fact that he has such low attack stats, right? So you want to make sure that he's getting the most out of his links as possible, so that way he can deal the most damage. So then you go ahead and get into his kit. So his first skill is a poison skill. It's a single hitting target, which is good. It does really high damage, actually. I'm actually, surprised that it does as much damage. On rank 3, it does 375%. That's really good considering the fact that he also poisons. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty good, the multiplier. Again, at the time that he was released a year ago, really amazing. But now, not so much, just because we have more crazy units. So then his skill 2, right? His skill 2 has Spike, an AoE move. And this is what I mean. Spike increases the crit damage by 2, right? So with this, he'll be doing crazy crit damage, crazy crit damage on all enemies. The problem is you guys saw that his crit chance is really low. His crit chance, was 34%, right? So here's the thing. his ultimate is the same as every other Meliodas. It's the stun move, right? So here's the thing, his passive, right, increases crit chance by 10% at the end of every turn. Every turn that passes, his crit chance goes up by 10% for a max of 10 times, which means he gets 100% crit chance when the passive is maxed. So with that, that's interesting. This passive, unfortunately, isn't the best just because of how much, how it's just the amount of turns that the game lasts for isn't that long, especially with like the meta units. The game doesn't last for 10 turns, and if it does, it's a really, really rare chance, especially with a unit like him. But I could see maybe 3 turns, you get 30%, you're already at 64% crit chance, which is good. That is really good. But it's not a definite crit, so I don't know. And it also depends on the amount of hits he gets off on his skill 2. So he's just a very, very like meh unit. So again, this is assuming they don't get buffed, these units. It's just no, don't summon for him. These are his other associations. You can choose, right? So defense, Diane, right, and then resistance. Okay, so I mean, you can choose whether or not like you want to go ahead and give the association with defense or attack. It's completely up to you. Me personally, I think I would go for attack just because he's meant to be an attack type character. Even if you give him, let's say, HP and defense, I don't think he's gonna have too much longevity in the game just because his defense is so low. Below 3,000 is insane. And this is also level 80, 6-star, 6 out of 6 stats, right? Yeah, it's insane. It's really, really low. So that was Meliodas, right? Again, he's a meh unit. I would definitely say he's not worth summoning on. But we'll go ahead and we'll get into Elaine. So Elaine is also part of the Halloween batch that was released with Meliodas and Gilia, right? So Elaine is a little bit more, I would say, usable, simply because of the fact that her stats are actually I would say a lot better than Meliodas. A lot better. Just because she has 5,201 attack. Just in that sense, it's already good. Her defense is higher, maybe not by a lot, but it is higher. And her HP is, give or take, around the same. And it's a little bit higher, but it's just every little bit counts with these units because they're not that good. But yeah, her substats aren't good either, in my personal opinion. It's not the best, but again, these are all these are all the old characters, right? Their substats aren't going to be great, and her association gives her resistance. So I mean, she's a little bit more usable simply because of the fact she has her skill 1, which is similar to Valenti's skill 1, or yeah, I think it's her skill 1 Valenti's, which attack related stats get decreased by 20% and 30% when you get to rank 2 and rank 3. So really good. Damage multipliers aren't high, but again, she's not meant to do damage. She's just meant to become, she's sort of like an annoying character to fight against. She's a support character, so her main role isn't damage. So definitely HP and defense build if you do end up pulling her. So her buff skill increases attack of all allies by 30% for 2 turns, 40%, and then 60%. This is good. I actually do like this. If it were attack related stats, maybe this is something they could buff her with. If they do buff these units, she could have, instead of just attack, it can be attack related stats. If it's attack related stats and they don't change the percentage, insane. She'd be freaking incredible. Now, the problem is she is unfortunately blue, which means greens are going to completely eradicate her from the face of the earth. But that's okay. That's okay, because if you can get this buff skill going before she dies, that's a big boost. Attack related stats, again. If this is attack related stats by 60% on rank 3, you have to remember her 60%, that's 72% crit chance, and that's over 200% crit damage. that's insane. And her, obviously, her attack goes up and her pierce rate goes up by 60%. So she would honestly be dealing more damage than the Meliodas that we just went over, right? The Halloween Meliodas. She would, if they do change it to attack related stats. Right now it's just attack, which is pretty mediocre. So it's not gonna be as good, just simply because you want the pierce rate. It's mainly the pierce rate and crit chance and crit damage you want increased as well with the attack. Just increasing an attack right now is not that important, because many people now heal. They can do a lot of things just to cuck you when it's just simply attack. So yeah, hopefully they do buff her and she gets attack related stats instead of just attack. So her ultimate is the same as every other lane. The stun, the multiplier. You can pause the video right here if you want to check her out, but it's literally the same as all other lanes in the game. So her passive, right? So her passive increases defense related stats by 8% at the start of the next turn if the hero takes damage. This is kind of bad because she needs to get hit. So what it's saying is she will increase attack related stats, her own attack related stats, by the way, not allies, by 8% if the hero takes damage. I don't think it stacks, so it's not like if you take 3 hits it'll go up by 24%. No, it's literally one turn is 8% if you take damage. That is actually really bad because that 8% isn't going to be enough to save her, simply because of the fact, let's see over here, her crit resistance and defense are very low. So assuming you do live the whole 5 turns, right, you're only getting a 40% buff. So I mean, it's just, no, it's not that great. And the fact that she needs to get hit for it to proc is bad too. So again, I don't think she's good, but I do believe she's better than the Meliodas we went over, the Halloween one, right? I do think she is. So if the banner comes out and they aren't buffed, I don't think I'll be summoning. Maybe I will, because they're seasonal units and they might not come back ever again. But if I do summon, hopefully I do get one copy of her, because she could be a lot better than the Meliodas in terms of utility. So I mean, it is. These units just aren't impressive, man. They just aren't. And then here's her other associations, regen and pierce rate. But again, her stats are really low, so it honestly doesn't matter. So then we went over those two. So the final unit that we'll get for this celebration thing, this Halloween celebration, is Gilia. So Gilia, I don't know, right? But Gilia, she was free on the JP version. I don't know if Global's gonna make her free. I know Global likes to do things stupidly, so if she is free, cool. If she's not, it's not really the biggest. It's not really the biggest deal. I mean, out of all of them though, Gilia seems to be probably the best. Surprisingly, she actually might be the best out of the three. The fact she's green is bad though, because red units right now on Global are taking over PvP, but nonetheless she still might be the best. Simply, I think it's just because they decided to make her good. You see her stats there. Her HP is a lot lower than Meliodas in a lane, but her attack is still higher than Meliodas, and her defense is lower, 2,436. That's the bad part about it. She's very, very squishy. So she's obviously meant to be sort of like a glass cannon in a way, if you want to think about it that way. It's just because of her skills, right? So you see her substats, they aren't impressive. There's nothing standoutish about it. But her skills aren't too bad actually. Here are associations, attack, just all attack, right? But again, her skills are actually not that bad. So she has this feline step, which is a charge move, by the way. So it's gonna do crazy damage because it's just gonna ignore defense. And you guys already know, 200, 300, 500. So she's actually the strongest right there. Right there, she's actually the strongest out of the batch. So yeah, I know, you're right. So then her skill 2, Pumpkin Lights. So again, this is an AoE. I forget who has this skill. I forgot who has it. I know Valenti has it, but it's a single target, the one she has. Gilia has an AoE. So it decreases defense-related stats at max by 30%. Again, combine this, right, even if at rank 2, combine this with her rank 2 and her skill 1, she's going to be doing crazy damage, by the way. Just want to let you guys know. So right there, her utility goes hand in hand. So I like that. But again, she's like a glass cannon. She doesn't have defense. She doesn't have, you know, crazy attack stats, but although her attack can be good, right, give or take the situation. And then her ultimate, it's the same, you know, as all other Gilia cards. She has Chain Explosion, Bomb, Cyclone, Spike damage. Spike damage is really good, but her crit chance is so low that it doesn't really... I mean, it's really rare that it'll proc. I mean, I've seen Sekopopo's video on it. Shout out to him. It procced, and she did massive damage, but that is very unlikely that it'll proc and you'll be able to get the numbers that were shown. It's just not likely that you'll be able to make her as good as he did unless you really invest in her. So I mean, hey, if you want to, sure, why not? Right? So her passive is actually really cool. Decreases the hero's damage taken by 4% per skill use. This means you'll get a 40%, you know, reduction, which isn't okay. It isn't bad, but I don't think it's enough to actually like mean anything. 40% damage reduction is good, and that's why they made her defense so low, because of her attack reduction. Her defense suffered, and I really wish they wouldn't have did that, man. I really wish they wouldn't have did that, because now her attack is so low, or her defense is so low, that reduction doesn't matter. If her defense, hypothetically, if they buffed her, they made her defense, let's say 3,785, right? Then now, okay, the reduction might come in clutch, but at a 2,436 defense stat, level 86 out of 6 stats, right? We don't have the Super Awakening system on global, so that doesn't really matter. Her reduction isn't, no, it's just, it's not gonna be good. Yeah, so these units, again, they aren't worth summoning on. I will say this, however, if the banner comes out and they have only these 3 characters on it with the 3% rate and a pity bar, I will say that it might be worth summoning on, simply because these units, you don't know when they'll come back, and they might never return. And if they are buffed to the point where they're actually viable in the meta, then it would be a summon if all 3 characters are the only SSRs on the banner. But I highly doubt it. I think they'll give us terrible filler characters. I think these units won't even, like, they'll be rated up, but it won't even matter because of the filler characters. It's just no. So that's just my take on it. I don't know, you guys, let me know in the comments if you guys really like these characters and if you're gonna be summoning on them. I definitely won't be, unless I feel like they'll never return, or if they get buffed, or it'll be all situational. But that was my take on this, guys. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And if you do enjoy Grand Cross content, be sure to consider subscribing. Make sure to join the BS gang. We'd love to have you. But yeah, guys, with that being said, I will see you all in the next video.